Hello and welcome to another session of the My Solo 401k Financial Daily Webinar Series. If you have questions or topics that you wish to discuss, please chat those over and we'll go through those questions or topics sequentially. We'll start out with the questions that have already been chatted up. Then we're going to turn to the topic that we wanted to discuss today, which is biggest Schwab Solo 401k complaint and the quick fix. As always, the presentation is being provided for educational purposes only and should not be construed as tax, legal, or investment advice or a solicitation. We would never discourage you from speaking to your tax or legal advisors, so please be sure to do so. All right, so the first question or topic that was chatted up before we turn to the prepared content is question on after-tax to Roth IRA conversion form. I completed 2025 after-tax to Roth IRA Fidelity conversion on September 10th, 2025. $70,000 is the base, $65.49 is the gain. Total is $70,065.49. What amount should I enter for the amount of basis converted to Roth IRA in 2025 in the form? So the basis is going to be the $70,000, and the gain is the other portion that you mentioned. Now that transfer is reportable, of course. So it'll be the $70,000. Just to answer your question, and if you submit that in a timely fashion, then we handle the 1099-R as an optional free service. So anytime this year is considered to be a timely fashion. And then the 1099-R is going to be prepared for 2025. So that 1099-R would be issued by February of 2026. Thank you so much for the good question. Appreciate that. I already have a self-employed 401k with Fidelity. If I want to move to a solo 401k through your company, but housed at Fidelity, do I have to close the existing account or just amend the plan documents? So that's a great question. It's a common question, as we have a lot of individuals that start out with a basic plan at Fidelity, and then they want to upgrade to our plan to take advantage of the service and features of our plan. Could be the Mega Backdoor Roth, could be the ability to take a 401k loan, could be the tax credits, just to name some of the some of the top reasons that clients would want to upgrade. So that process is referred to as a restatement, where the plan continues, but now it's governed by our plan documents. So the documents will need to be amended. They'll need to be what they call restated, but you'll also need to have new accounts, because from Fidelity's perspective, those accounts that you currently have, or the account that you currently have pertains to their documents, which don't allow you to do what you want to do. So Fidelity, though, will open up new accounts for a third-party plan. So in other words, for the restated plan. And as part of the onboarding process, we help customers open up accounts at the bank or brokerage of choice. So the new accounts could be at Fidelity, or it could even be somewhere else. So we would help you open up a new account or accounts. For example, if you're going to have multiple types of money, like pre-tax and Roth, then it would need to be multiple new accounts for the restated plan. And then we'll help you. We'll prepare the transfer paperwork to transfer over the cash and assets from the existing account for the basic plan at Fidelity to the new account at Fidelity for the restated plan. Great question. Thank you so much for bringing it. Yes, we would calculate the gross amount by adding the basis plus the gains. Good question. So now let's turn to the topic that we wanted to share today, which is biggest Schwab Solo 401k complaint and the quick fix. But if there are questions on this topic or even other topics, please don't hesitate to chat that over, as we're happy to discuss any and all topics. We appreciate you joining. So with that, let's dive into first lay the foundation, which is the problem with Schwab Solo 401k. So the number one complaint based on experience, client feedback, etc., is that Schwab Solo 401k plan is a prototype plan that lacks certain key features. So what you can do with the Schwab Solo 401k is going to be based on their documents, which is a very vanilla plan, as opposed to a Solo 401k plan offered by my Solo 401k Financial, which is going to have all the features. So, for example, the primary missing feature is the ability to perform a Mega Backdoor Roth conversion. So either a transfer to a Roth Solo 401k or to a Roth IRA. So the Schwab's plan doesn't support Mega Backdoor Roth. It doesn't allow for the voluntary after-tax contributions, and it doesn't allow for the subsequent transfer to either a Roth Solo 401k or a Roth IRA, which is how one makes a Mega Backdoor Roth contribution. So that's the primary complaint, but there's many other features, and we'll go through some of those other features, which are the reason that people will upgrade their plan from a basic plan at Schwab to our plan. So that's the context that we're working with here. So the solution to that problem is a self-directed Solo 401k. So a self-directed Solo 401k would be a plan like the one offered by my Solo 401k Financial, which is going to support all the features. So for example, with the Mega Backdoor Roth, our plan allows for the ability to make Mega Backdoor Roth contributions. And we also provide tremendous support for making Mega Backdoor Roth contributions, such as how much one can contribute, plus the required compliance reporting, i.e. the 1099-R that has to be issued that we handle as an optional free service. So I think it's helpful to understand that a Solo 401k plan is a legal entity. It's a trust. So like any legal entity, it's the documents that create it. It's the documents that dictate what you can do. So when you have a basic Solo 401k at Schwab, that means that Schwab provides the documents plus the account. However, Schwab will open up accounts for a third-party plan that's going to have all the features like the one offered by my Solo 401k Financial. So our clients have the documents, meaning the plan from us, but they have their accounts at Schwab. And you can even upgrade a basic Schwab Solo 401k plan to our plan so you can still have your account at Schwab, but have the features and the support from my Solo 401k Financial. So it's a custom drafted plan that's going to allow for greater flexibility, more investment options. And the process to upgrade the plan is what they refer to as a restatement. So the plan continues. It's not like you're setting up a second plan and shutting down your basic Schwab Solo 401k plan. Instead, the plan continues, but now it's governed by our plan documents. And then part of that process would be opening up new accounts, which could be at Schwab or somewhere else. And we help our customers. For example, we pre-fill the paperwork that's needed to open up new accounts, whether it's at Schwab or somewhere else. And then moreover, we prepare the transfer paperwork that's needed to transfer the cash and assets from the pre-existing account for the vanilla plan at Schwab to the new account for the third-party plan provided by my Solo 401k Financial. So that's the solution that'll allow you to keep your money at Schwab, but still have the features that you want. So what are those features? So what are the source of the complaints? Well, it's not having the features. So what are some of the top features? The Mega Backdoor Roth, Solo 401k. So in order to be able to make a Mega Backdoor Roth contribution, you need to have the plan documents that allow for, number one, voluntary after-tax contributions, and then number two, converting to Roth. So our plan documents would allow those voluntary after-tax contributions to be transferred to either a Roth Solo 401k or Roth IRA. Now, it's also important to work with a provider like my Solo 401k Financial that has deep experience in helping clients through those compliance steps. For example, you have to make the after-tax contribution to a separate account. So we help customers open up the requisite number of accounts. We literally pre-fill the paperwork to do so. Help customers understand the contribution limits, right? The contribution deadlines. And then the second step of that Mega Backdoor Roth process, again, is the transfer from the after-tax account to either a Roth Solo 401k or Roth IRA. So while that first step, the contribution, doesn't need to be reported on the personal or business tax return, the second step, the transfer to the Roth, does need to be reported on a Form 1099-R, which we handle as an optional free service. In other words, no additional charge. Customers just need to give us the information we need in order to be able to prepare the 1099-R. And ultimately, the benefit of the Mega Backdoor Roth Solo 401k is tax-free growth. right? Because now you have all this additional funds in your Roth account where it's going to grow on a tax deferred basis, potentially tax free. So in other words, when you withdraw the money from your Roth account, if you withdraw it as a qualified Roth distribution, you can take out not only the initial contribution amount, but all the subsequent gains totally tax free. The other benefit is just the high contribution amount. For example, for 2025, one can contribute up to $70,000 or even more if they're age 50 or older to a Roth Solo 401k or a Mega Backdoor Roth Solo 401k. All right, next top missing feature or complaint is the ability to invest in alternative investments. So with Schwab's vanilla plan, they only allow you to invest in typical brokerage type investments, such as stocks, mutual funds, etc. Whereas with our plan, of course, our plan would allow for those same brokerage type investments like stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs, but also true alternative investments. So true diversification, right? Real estate, crypto, private equity, pre-IPO stocks. These are some of the investments that our clients are making with our Solo 401k plan. Next missing feature with the Schwab Solo 401k is Solo 401k loans. So Schwab's plan doesn't allow you to borrow from your retirement account. So with a Solo 401k loan, the individual is literally withdrawing money from their retirement account. They can use the proceeds of that loan for any purpose whatsoever. So it could be a personal purpose. It's not going to be considered a taxable event. It's not going to be subject to penalties as long as it's, number one, within the Solo 401k loan limits. So that's limited to $50,000 or 50% of the balance, whatever's less. As long as it's documented as a Solo 401k loan, we prepare the required loan documents as part of our service for no additional charge, and then pay back according to those loan terms. So again, you can borrow up to 50% of the balance, not to exceed $50,000. It needs to be paid back in either monthly or quarterly payments, equal payments of principal and interest. The interest is prime plus 1%, or it could be a CD rate plus 2%, with those payments spread over a 5-year term. The tax credits. So setting up our Solo 401k plan, even upgrading a vanilla plan from Schwab to our plan, will make the self-employed business eligible to claim $1,500 in tax credits. That's $500 per year for 3 consecutive years. The reason for that is that our plan includes the required automatic contribution feature that is needed to make the plan, and really the business that sets up the plan, eligible to claim those credits. So Schwab's plan doesn't support the tax credits. It's also noteworthy that as part of setting up that automatic contribution feature, a default 3% contribution percentage is set, but the self-employed individual, as the participant in the plan, has the option to opt out of the default 3% contribution percentage. Opting out of the default 3% contribution percentage won't prevent the individual from claiming the credit because they're simply exercising their right to opt out of the default. Moreover, opting out of the default will now allow the individual to make contributions in whichever percentage or amount or schedule they prefer, of course, subject to the limits and the deadlines, but again, still being eligible to claim those credits. 5500 EZ support. So once the value of the Solo 401k plan, including the value of any defined benefit plan that this self-employed individual may have, exceeds $250,000, there is an informational filing requirement that has to be taken care of. So that's the name of that filing requirement, or that form that needs to be filed, is Form 5500 EZ. So Schwab, they won't file that 5500 EZ for you, but we handle that as an optional free service for our customers. Moreover, we handle it under the electronic filing system to make it easy for the customer. Customers just have to let us know once the value exceeds $250,000, and then we'll add their plan to the queue to prepare that 5500 EZ. In-plan Roth conversion and employer Roth. So our Solo 401k plan allows for employer contributions to be made as Roth contributions. Schwab's basic solo 401k plan does not. Our solo 401k plan would allow for in-plan Roth conversions. So this is where one moves money from their pre-tax solo 401k account to their Roth solo 401k account. Now, of course, that's going to be taxable because you're going from a pre-tax status to a Roth status. It's also reportable. It needs to be reported on a Form 1099-R. And again, we handle that 1099-R as an optional free service for our customers. Customers just have to let us know when they process that in-plan Roth conversion so we can capture the information that's needed to prepare the 1099-R. Checkbook control. So, of course, if you open up a basic solo 401k plan at Schwab, the account's going to be at Schwab. Schwab is not going to give you checkbook access to the money. Whereas with our solo 401k plan, you can open up the account at the bank or brokerage of choice. And we are very hands-on in helping our customers open up an account at the bank or brokerage of choice. So having checkbook control for those that are looking to invest at least part of their money in alternative investments can be very important to those individuals because now they can access the funds quickly. For example, to take advantage of investment opportunities. So that checkbook control could come from a bank account, right? They might have a bank account at their local bank or credit union, plus a brokerage account at Schwab. It could even come from the Schwab account because the brokerage accounts that we are helping customers open up for their plan that they have through us will actually come with a free checkbook. Flexibility to open up accounts. So you can have your account for your solo 401k plan provided by us at Schwab, but you could even have it somewhere else. You could have it at Fidelity. You could have it at E-Trade. You could open up accounts at hundreds of different banks or credit unions. We have helped our customers open up accounts at hundreds of different banks or credit unions. And then lastly, in terms of some of the features that are not available through the basic plan at Schwab, but that are available through our plan, is the ability to make employer contributions in different amounts. So for example, the employer contribution limit for a self-employed business that is taxed as an S corporation is 25% of the W-2 wages that the self-employed individual receives from the S corporation. And if their spouse is also working in the business, receiving their own W-2 wages, for example, they could also participate in the solo 401k. Now, if they have a solo 401k through Schwab, the basic plan, per Schwab solo 401k plan documents, both spouses will need to contribute, will need to make employer contributions in the same percentage, right? It could be 10% each, all the way up to 25%. Whereas with our solo 401k plan documents, each spouse could make employer contributions in different percentages, right? One spouse might want to max out their employer contributions, whereas the other spouse might not be interested in making employer contributions. So that type of customization needs to be supported by the documents, and it is certainly supported by our documents. All right, thank you so much for joining. If you found this to be helpful, please like this video. It helps us to get the word out to other self-employed individuals, other solopreneurs, other freelancers just like you, or share it with others that might find it to be helpful. We would really appreciate that. In the meantime, let's go to the additional questions that were chatted up. Thank you so much for bringing the questions. We appreciate that so much. Thank you. I also have a solo 401k account at Fidelity. They just added the possibility of contributing Roth funds to it. What exactly does your account add? Well, it's going to add Mega Backdoor Roth. It's going to add the ability to make employer contributions as Roth contributions. It's going to allow for in-plan Roth conversions. That was what we talked about just recently, which is pre-tax to Roth transfers. Plus, it's going to allow for a lot of the other features that we just discussed, really all the other features we just discussed. So that's the $1,500 solo 401k tax credits, which is going to more than cover our fees for the first 7 years. So we charge $650 as the initial fee. That covers the $525 establishment fee, plus the first $125 annual fee. Then starting 12 months later, we charge our $125 annual fee that covers the second year. So those $1,500 in solo 401k tax credits is going to more than cover our fees for the first 7 years. In addition, Fidelity's solo 401k plan is not going to allow for solo 401k loans where you can borrow from your solo 401k account. It's not going to allow for alternative investments. It's not going to allow you to have accounts anywhere else other than Fidelity. They're not going to provide the 5500 easy support, etc. So so those are some of the top features that are also not available through the basic plan offered by Fidelity. So yes, exactly. If you're looking to do Mega Backdoor Roth, Fidelity's plan doesn't support it. But you can have your plan documents through us, but have your accounts at Fidelity. My accountant gave me a hard time this year trying to write a check from my business to Schwab for my solo 401k. He was saying that I need to run the payment through payroll. I don't think that is right. No, that is not right. There's no requirement from a solo 401k perspective that the contribution go through payroll. It's totally acceptable from a solo 401k perspective that the contribution be made from the personal account or the business account, regardless of the contribution type, whether that's employee or employer or voluntary after tax. What's more important from a solo 401k perspective is that the contribution is made within the contribution limits, by the contribution deadline, is made to the applicable account. For example, pre-tax versus Roth. Now, of course, the contribution will need to be reported as applicable on the personal tax return or the business tax return or the W-2. For example, if the self-employed business is taxed as an S Corp or a C Corp and the individual is making employee contributions, whether pre-tax or Roth, that will need to be reported on the W-2. But even if the contribution needs to be reported on the W-2, the contribution doesn't need to go through payroll. One could still make the contribution outside of payroll and just let the W-2 provider know about that contribution so it can be reported accordingly on the W-2. Great questions. Thank you so much for the wonderful participation. We definitely appreciate that. If there are additional questions, please don't hesitate to chat that over. In the meantime, we invite you to subscribe to our channel. We go live every day. We come with content like we did today. So please subscribe so you get notifications of when we go live. You can hear the content that we come to share. You can also bring your own questions that you want to discuss. So we appreciate the dialogue. We appreciate the engagement. We also invite you to our community. We have one of the largest community of self-directed investors, solopreneurs around the solo 401k areas of interest. So that means that we've got a very vibrant community. So there's lots of good forums on there. You can come and post your own questions or see what other people are posting. We have a library of videos and webinars. So there's lots of great ways to learn and to engage, to share the knowledge on the community. All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone. We do appreciate it. Again, if you like the video, we'd greatly appreciate that. It'll help us to get the word out. Again, we also invite you to subscribe. So until next time, thank you so much, everyone. Take care.